Good morning. I'm about to have my first cool day of the summer, but before we do that, we have to talk about my summer TBR list because oh boy, it's a lot. I love these types of videos. It inspires me to read more and I learn of some other books that I add to my TBR list. As you can see, we have I think 32 books to get to, so let's get started. The real question is, will the YouTube police get me if I'm wearing this? I just want to stay monetized. I think with all the books we should be okay, but it's finally summer. I am so excited. It is my favorite time of the year and it's also my favorite time of year to be reading. That being said, this is the biggest TBR list that I've ever had for a season. I have been working on this for the last couple of months. Any book that just screamed summer vibes to me, I waited, I held off, and I added it to the list, and now I have, I think it is 32 because I counted before. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 22, 4, 6, 8, 32. Yeah. And now I have 32 books on my summer TBR, which seems like a lot because it is. And it's more books than I think I read in a whole year last year. But right now I'm averaging 5 to 6 books a month. So technically that's 5, 10, 15. I'd have to double that to be able to read all of these. So we may not get to all of them, but if we did, this is what I want to read. If you're new here, please subscribe. I make a ton of book content. I also make a ton of book content over on my TikTok, as well as a dedicated bookstagram page. So if you are a book girly looking for more book accounts to follow, all of the links will be down below, as well as my Goodreads and my Amazon storefront where I have everything categorized. I also have all of these in its own summer section as well, so it should be easy to shop. I'm also going to leave my book playlist of all of the other book related videos on this channel down below, so if you're looking for specific ones, it should all be there. But I know we're here for the books, so let's get started. Starting with 2 books that were sent to me from publishers, I have this small novella called Woman by Chloe Cadwell. It's about a woman, a writer, falling in love with a woman for the first time. I don't think there is a book that could describe me in one sentence better. I mean, it is June, happy Pride. I love a good queer novella and we honestly need so many more of these. So I'm always excited when I see a new one and I'm so grateful that HarperCollins sent this over. I can finish this in an afternoon. It'll be a great little pool read. They also sent over Sarah Morgan's new release, The Summer Swap, as well as this really awesome bookmark from The Hive, which is actually how I got these new releases sent to me. So if you also make book content, I really recommend checking out all of the different programs that publishers have for influencers where you can request new releases and arcs. It might not be as out there and difficult to achieve as you may think, because I thought the same thing too, but there are programs such as The Hive. I think Celadon Books has a really good one. I would just Google it, see which one kind of fits your content, audience niche, and all of that the best, and see what happens. But this book just screams the summer vibes. I mean, the cover alone is beautiful. I think this will be a great book to read in the summertime. If you didn't know, I also like to go into books pretty blindly, meaning I don't like to know a lot about the books before going into it, and I'd rather be surprised as the plot unfolds, even if it's something that the back tells me. So sometimes I'll avoid reading the back of the book altogether. This next book was actually the first book on my June TBR list, as well as the first book on my summer TBR list that I finished. I finished this 2 days ago. I couldn't have chosen a better book to start the summer off with. It was such a great summer read, so I highly recommend adding this to your summer TBR list if you haven't read it already, because it was a 5-star read for me and I wish I could read it over again. The Villa by Rachel Hawkins, which, fun fact, I just learned that Rachel Hawkins is Erin Sterling, but she uses 2 different names for the different genres, which it makes sense, but I was still so confused when I figured that out. I haven't read an Erin Sterling book either, but they're the same person. Basically, The Villa takes place at a villa in Italy during the summertime, so that alone was like, sign me up, you know? Bonus points if you actually read this at a villa in Italy. 2 writers go to this villa to hopefully work on some upcoming books. I love books about books, books about libraries, books about librarians, books about writers, all of that. Like, I'm here for it. So they go there, they're here to write a book and instead uncover a ton of mysteries and just history of the villa that they're staying at. It's a pretty iconic villa. There was a very, very notorious murder and death that took place there in the 70s. I also love a story that flashbacks to different time periods as well as unveils like a historic piece, kind of like a biopic, but about a place. I'm here for it. I love architectural history and houses, places with a lot of history, so I ate this up. It also has a lot of various forms of medium in it, so I think that's the right term. It is for art. What would you call that in a book? Because there are like newspaper articles, interviews, podcast snippets, as well as just the normal chapters, text messages, like letters, snippets of all different forms of writing, which I really appreciate because it makes the story feel more three-dimensional. It has so much more depth to it. I think the back really sums it up at the end. It says it's inspired by Fleetwood Mac, the Manson murders, and the infamous summer Percy and Mary Shelley spent with Lord Byron at a Lake Geneva castle, the birthplace of Frankenstein. The villa welcomes you into its deadly legacy. So good. One of the best Goodreads reviews completely changed my mind on the ending of this book. Without giving it away, I guess I can't, but you get like so many different sides of a story, and then when you finish the book you realize that there's one side of the story that might be the most important. That, I don't know, I can't. Marnie, does it look like there's space for you up here right now? Yeah, it's just really good. I recommended this to my book club. This is also a book where it's just done so well, where I would feel comfortable recommending this to any type of reader, regardless as to what your type of genre that you prefer to read. Like, this isn't like a fluffy romance. It's not like a very hard to consume historical like textbook. It's not, I guess it's just literary fiction. It's not like a gripping thriller in the sense where you're like at the edge of your seat waiting for a twist, and it's not a horror book where you're scared to read it at night. So why is everything shaking? Marnie, you made me think there was an earthquake in Minnesota. Get down. So if you're looking for a good book to recommend to like a book club, I think this is great. You can see how easily I could talk about this book for days, but this was a solid 5-star read for me. I really enjoyed it. The next book I'm currently reading, I'm halfway through it, and I wish I could sit down and read it right now, but I'm trying to get some work done. Again, such a perfect book to read in June, and a book that I am so excited to just like consume and escape into. Late Bloomer by Maisie Eddings. This is a sapphic romance that takes place in North Carolina on a flower farm. Like, give me two lesbians on a flower farm falling in love and I am here for it. I love this book. I talk more about it in my reading vlog. I don't know when that's coming out, before or after this video, but I highly recommend watching that if you want more details on this love story. But basically Opal wins the lottery and everybody in her life is like trying to ask for money, and so she decides to buy this farm and move there. However, it comes with a price, I guess, because Pepper lives on the farm. She doesn't own it necessarily, which is why Opal was able to buy it, but she's gonna lose her home. So they come to this agreement where they both live on the farm, forced proximity. They're literally living in the same cabin. Pepper, who lives on the farm, reminds me of the girl in Kiki's Delivery Service. She just has that energy, you know, living in the forest. She's so cute. This is my first Maisie Eddings book, and I love the way that she writes. It's so beautiful. I've actually been underlining a lot of stuff, which I never do in romance books usually, because the writing usually is like fluffier. I love it so much. It's so well done. It's so cute, and the characters feel so real. I also really like identify with both of them in different ways, and it's a story obviously about being in your 20s, coming out a little bit later, so I appreciate that theme as well, because that's sort of parallel to my own queer journey, and Pepper reminds me a lot of my experience, I guess. Which just makes me love this book even more. Also, both of them are neurodivergent and autistic, which I've never really seen that representation in queer romances before, and I love it. I think it just makes their characters even that more like likable, and I can relate to them in different ways. Not saying I have either of those diagnoses, but I think there are parts of it that I can definitely relate to. I am soaking this book up. Like, I don't want to finish it. I really love it so much, so I'm slowly reading it, but there's so many different parts in here that just I love so much. I literally, what did I underline outside this morning? Oh, during one of Pepper's chapters, she says, "I think I like men. I know I like women." That is like the most relatable thing when you're trying to figure your sexuality out, at least for me. It was, I don't know, it's just so cute. Or, I realize I'll play any type of fool to make her laugh. If you need a really good queer sapphic romance, like, this is it. And I've read a lot. I've read like One Last Stop, Written in the Stars, Delilah Green Doesn't Care, like all of those type of cartoon queer romances. This one hits different, and it holds such a special place in my heart. So highly recommend. This will be a 5-star read for me. Also, each chapter is broken off by like the little rose at the top, and rose is my birth flower. It's also June's birth flower and June's Pride Month, and it's June right now when I'm reading this, so this is like the perfect time to read this. I just feel so connected to it, and I'm gonna read all of Maisie Edding's other books after this. This is a newer release, so if you haven't read it yet, highly recommend. So freaking cute. I just love it so much. We're gonna speed through the rest of these because I haven't read them yet. Wildfire by Hannah Grace. This is the second book in like the icebreaker world, and it takes place at a summer camp. They're camp counselors, so it's gonna be all of the like summer camp vibes. And I've seen a lot of TikToks about people that like ship this couple the most, so I'm eager to see what I think about it. I'm really curious about this next book, and I've been wanting to read it for the last couple of summers, but I'm a little bit hesitant. I'll tell you why in a second. Beach Read by Emily Henry. Everybody says that this is their favorite Emily Henry book, and I have mixed feelings about Emily Henry. I enjoyed Book Lovers, but I wasn't obsessed with it, and then I absolutely hated People We Meet on Vacation. Although I hear that People We Meet on Vacation is like everybody's least favorite. Everybody says that this is their favorite, and what better time of year than right now to read Beach Read? A lot of people say that the characters in this book are also their favorites. Like, I think it's Gus and January or something like that. I don't know. I'm still on the fence whether or not Emily Henry is for me. Her writing is fine, but I get really bored by it. I still want to read all of her books so that I can properly assess how I feel about her, if that makes sense. I will be reading Beach Read this summer, and I'll let you know. Carly Fortune, Meet Me at the Lake. I found this thrifting and I'm very eager to read it, but I've heard so many mixed things about it. People either liked it or they've tolerated it. And the people in my personal life that have written reviews about it did not like this book. TikTok, some people said they really liked it. Other people said that they're giving Carly Fortune one last chance with her new release that came out. I think it's Every Summer After or something like that, but I just have to read it in the summertime. Like, this is a summer book, so we shall see. Love Theoretically, Allie Hazelwood. I've only read one book by her, so I just wanted to sprinkle in another one this summer. Eventually I will get to all of them. I'm not even sure if I will read this summer. It just depends on if I'm in the mood. We shall see. Now, it wouldn't be summertime without reading a Taylor Jenkins Reid book. Her books always just remind me of summer because that's when I read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, Malibu Rising, and Carrie Soto's back, and they always have the best summer vibes. I guess I read Maybe in Another Life as well last summer by her, so I had to bring in some Taylor Jenkins Reid books for the summer, starting with one of her most popular books that I still haven't read yet, Daisy Jones and the Six. I really want to watch the TV show, and I know everybody says that like you have to read this book, it's so good, listen to the audiobook, and I believe them, I do, but for some reason I'm just not like drawn to it, which is weird because I think if I really liked The Villa with what they were doing with like the 70s rock and roll scene, I would really like this book. So I have to read it. It kind of looks like a June book to me. I'll read it, I will, I promise. Another TJR book is One True Loves, and this looks like a summer book. The cover alone, the palm trees, the shoreline. This is a book about high school sweethearts. They get married, her husband disappears, and then years later when she is engaged again to somebody else, her husband is found and comes back into her life. I think we're going to have to see her decide who she is supposed to be with. I don't know. One thing about Taylor Jenkins Reid though is she will make you cry your eyes out. So I'm expecting to sob. I know it will be so sad, but I love her writing. It's so well done. I'm excited to read this and cry. The last book by her that I haven't read, I think this is the last book by her that I haven't read, is Forever Interrupted. Another really sad plot just off the bat is I think her newly wed husband dies. Is she okay? Thinking about all of her plots now, I'm like, girl. Moving on to some fluffier stuff, because we all love a good palette cleanser, and sometimes when I'm at the beach or the pool, I don't even want to think while I'm reading. I just want to read trash. And to me, that's a Coho book. So we have Without Merit by Colleen Hoover. With her books, I also don't like to read the back. So I don't know what this one is about, but I know that I will breeze through this in a day or two. And that is sometimes the type of book that I love to read in the summer. This next book is a YA book that I found thrifting, but the plot sounded really good. I don't normally gravitate toward YA, but I'm intrigued. It's You Have a Match by Emma Lord. It's on Reese's YA book club list, which I thought was so cute, but it's basically about this girl who takes a DNA test and realizes that she has a sister. So I think it's just them connecting, and the cover feels very summery, like canoeing on a lake. Summer vibes. I wonder where it takes place, because this kind of is giving Minnesota. Oh, her sister that she discovers isn't just like a random girl. She's a shimmery haired Instagram star. They meet up at summer camp. I think it'll be cute. This next book I was hesitant and didn't even want to read until one of my friends convinced me to and said it was so cute and based around SNL, and the author lives in Minnesota. So whenever there's somebody local that I've already like heard about, like Abby Jimenez, that writes and lives here, I really want to read them because I already feel connected to the author. Romantic Comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld. I also was hesitant to read this a few months ago when I thought Curtis was a man, because why would a man be there? Why would a man be writing a romance book? I'm not gonna read that. I felt bad that I like assumed that based on her name, because it's actually written by a woman, and my friend said it was really cute and based off of SNL. So she lives with her family in Minneapolis. I'm gonna read this. Another palate cleanser, Confess by Colleen Hoover. It's probably about a crime or confessing something. Oh, there's pictures in this one. I literally refer to Colleen Hoover books as picture books for adults because that's what they feel like. The fact that this one actually has pictures in it is so funny to me. I'm really excited for the next couple of books because they're thrillers, and some of them are written by my favorite thriller writer. If you watch my content, you know exactly where this is going, but I love Lisa Jewell so much. Out of thriller authors, she's my favorite. I love the way that she writes. I think she knows exactly how much information to tell you and how much to kind of keep from you so that the mystery unravels. There's always a good little twist in there. So I bought The Night She Disappeared, and I assume it's about a girl who disappears. I wonder where she went. We'll find out. And then I also have Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell as well. This is one that I think I hear the most about. A lot of high ratings. A lot of people say this is like their favorite one by her. And it's again about a girl who disappears. What a solid plot. I don't want to read the back. I hate knowing anything about thrillers because I want to be surprised in like every element of the plot. So I'm just gonna go in both of those blindly, and I know I will breeze through them so quickly. I read her books in like a couple of days, really. And then I also found The Guilt Trip by Sandy Jones while thrifting a few months ago. I posted a TikTok about this, and I had a lot of comments with like mixed reviews on the book. Some people said that they hated this book, and then others said that it was good. And that always makes me a little bit hesitant because I take every single like review to heart. Like, I believe you. If you think the book is bad, and I also like if I've read the book and somebody else says that, I see why they said that. So I trust you, I really do. This one is basically about 3 couples that travel to Portugal, and I think they're there for a wedding. Kind of reminds me of The Guest List because they're in Portugal for a wedding weekend and stuff unravels. But I don't know, it's kind of giving summer. So if I'm in the mood for it, I will read that one, but it's one that might get pushed to fall. Moving on to my newest discovered favorite genre. I've got a lot of dark romances for the summer. I recently discovered I'm a dark romance girly. I thought I was this type. Actually, I never thought, because I always rolled my eyes a little bit about these books. Like, I read them, but I never like loved them. Yeah, I realized I'm not like a cartoon cover fluffy romance book. I'm a dark matted cover romance girl. Like, I read my first one in May, I think, and I've never looked back. Definitely a pipeline from reading It Ends With Us 2 summers ago and judging the smut in it. Like, realizing that all the book girlies were just reading trash and smut like that, to dark romance 2 years later is so funny to me. Half of this pile, all of these, half of this pile is dark romance. Starting with a kind of controversial one that people say they just were not into. Credence by Penelope Douglas. Now, I know the controversial like trope in here, or taboo trope, I should say. So I kind of know, but I don't really know like the backstory on if it's actually, and I'm not here for that. Like, that is not something that interests me. That's not something I'm into. That's something that is icky. I'm gonna read the book though before I judge it. So I will let you know how icky this actually is, but we have Credence. I also have Butcher and Blackbird, which I think I'm going to read next. This was on my June TBR list as well. It's about 2 serial killers that kill other serial killers that fall in love. There's probably so much more to it than that, but I've seen this book around a lot online, and I know of some people in my life that have read it and really enjoyed it. So I am excited to see if this series will be for me, because the second book, Leather and Lark, just came out this summer. So if I like this one, I'm gonna get the second one. Ooh, I'm so excited for this next one. I gave Ashton a haul of these books, and he said that this cover was so pretty, and that's exactly why I bought it. Promises and Pomegranates. Moment for the cover. She is really, really pretty. I was instantly drawn to this book by the cover alone, but also just the fact that based on the cover and the title, I had a feeling it would be about Hades and Persephone, and I was right. And that is definitely a Greek mythology story that I loved as a child. So I think this is about her time with him. If you don't know the lore, real quick, basically Persephone eats 7 pomegranate seeds, so then she's banned to be a prisoner in hell, I think, with Hades for 7 years. Underworld, the underworld. They're a match made in the underworld. I think it's gonna be that story, but like add a little bit of spice, you know? Oh, I'm so excited for that one. This next one is literally the same plot. I'm sure it's different, but like different writer, different cover, all of that, but it's about the same thing, I think. That's the other thing too with dark romances, the bigger the better. I will be stingy about size when it comes to my dark romances books, because I love a big, thick book. I don't even know if I can add that in this video. That sounds so bad. I don't want a clip of that leaving my mouth anywhere on the internet. Anyway, A Touch of Chaos. This again is about Hades and Persephone, so I'm very intrigued to see like this plot. It just says Persephone, goddess of spring, never guessed that a chance encounter with Hades, god of the underworld, would change her life forever, but it did. So I don't know if this is also like the same Greek mythology tale, and I'm excited to read both of these and then kind of like see which one I would recommend or how different they are. But again, I love that story, so I'm so excited for this one as well. I got this during Target's buy one, get one 50% off deal. The best. This next one, I can't believe I did this. Okay, a little backstory. I got into dark romance because somebody left her soul to take in a little free library, and I took it and I read it not thinking anything of it. I loved it. And that's like really vulnerable of me to say online, because it's literally about a girl accidentally summoning a demon and then falling in love with him. But it felt like a Teen Wolf, Vampire Diaries. Like the plot was actually pretty good, and I liked the history, and I love like when there's a town with like ancient history behind it of like our ancestors did this and now we're cursed. Okay, I'll bite. I enjoyed the book enough to purchase the sequel at full price at Barnes & Noble so I could read it immediately. Her Soul for Revenge. So this one is about 2 of the side characters that we get like a little bit of their story of in the first book, but not a lot. And I am so intrigued. I also just love the way that Harley LaRue writes dark romance fantasy books. These are really easy for me to read. Like I'm not really thinking. I also was reading another book at the same time that I read the last one because I am a big mood reader. So if I'm just not in the mood for like a demon romance book, I'm gonna read something else. But honestly, it was like really good. And the third and final book in this little trilogy comes out this year as well, and I'm most excited for that story because that story focuses on 2 characters that I am very intrigued about, but I'm excited to read the second one and let you know what I think. If you are familiar with these pink spray painted edges, you know exactly what this next book is, and everybody on TikTok said that it was actually really, really good, so I trust their input. We have Vicious by L.J. Shen. They say love and hate are the same feelings experienced under different circumstances, and it's true. The top says, he's bad news wrapped in a good suit. Guess we'll see. I got the next one in my first blind date with a book that I bought a few weeks ago, and I'm very excited to read it. It's My Dark Romeo. It's actually co-written by the same author that wrote this book, so hopefully I enjoy both of these books. I just saw a TikTok today about somebody that said she would recommend this book if you were looking to get out of a reading slump because she loved it so much. And there's also more books in this world that are coming out, but I thought the cover was really cute and it was a perfect blind date with a book pick, so I'm excited to read this. This next book is actually an ARC, and it was the first ARC that was ever sent to me, so it comes out July 9th. It is Humor Me by Kat Shook. It takes place in New York City. Look at the cover. It's giving summertime in New York, so I think it's really, really cute and perfect to read in the summertime. It takes place in like the comedy stand-up world in New York, so I think it'll be like a really fun summer read, especially if you are going to New York in the summertime. I would recommend picking up this book. I'm nervous now to read this next book because I kept seeing it everywhere, but the more places that I've seen it, specifically like thrift stores, the more I'm like, huh, I wonder why everybody is donating this book. And then somebody on one of my TikToks said that she didn't like this for some very valid reasons, but I also get comments from people saying that they like the book, so I think I just have to read it and see what I think myself. Untamed by Glennon Doyle. I don't know anything about this book except for the fact that it has a little Reese's Book Club sticker, which I trust. We'll see. This next book I am reading in June because it reminds me of my birthday, and it seems like a really good book to read around your birthday. My birthday is June 17th, by the way, so it's coming up. But Emma Straub's This Time Tomorrow. This is giving like 13 going on 30, but in reverse, so I guess like 17 again vibes. Basically, she's turning 40, but wakes up on her 40th birthday and she's actually turning 16 again. And I think it would be really cute to read around my birthday. I'm sure there's going to be some sort of like themes about age and experience and youth and all of that. So, and appreciating how young or how old you are in the moment. We shall see, but I think it's gonna be really cute, and the cover alone I thought was perfect for the summertime, and it has little reviews and blurbs from Ann Patchett and Emily Henry on the back. I'm excited. I found this book thrifting in November last year, and I have been waiting to read it until the summer because she just deserves like a poolside read, and that is Christina Lauren's Something Wilder. Isn't this cover just screaming July, August, bright sun, high heat, summertime reading? Like the blueness of this is giving like water, pool water, ocean, whatever it is. I have no idea what this one is about, but I think it's one of their newer books too. Didn't this just come out? May 2022, so it is one of their newer releases. I just have to read this in the summertime. Like, if I don't read it this summer, I have to wait until next summer to read it because I'm not reading this any other season. This next book also screams summertime to me. It is Mad Honey by Jodi Picoult. Jodi Picoult is one of my favorite authors, like favorite contemporary writers. I've read all of her books, even like the really early ones. I like going into her books completely blind, so I'm not reading the back of this one, but I am going to be reading it outside. Like this with grass and a pool, just like bright, vibrant summer colors is what it deserves. What's really exciting about this copy, which I think I found at Half Priced Books, it's signed. Oh, that makes me so happy. I found this book thrifting maybe 2 weeks ago, and I was just beyond excited when I saw it. I never thought I would see this book at a thrift store. I've heard so many good things about it, and I'm so intrigued by what this is about. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I've heard a lot of the BookTok girlies say great things about this book, so I'm so excited to read it this summer. And then this next book I found thrifting as well, which really surprised me because this also just came out this year, like 2024. It's Claire McIntosh's latest release, A Game of Lies, and the cover feels very summery. I've never read a Claire McIntosh book, but I do have one on my TBR list, so hopefully I enjoy her writing. But that concludes my summer TBR list. Let me know your thoughts on these books, if you've read any of these or if these are also on your list this summer. I am so excited to hopefully read as many of these as I can. I'm doing really well. I've read 22 books so far this year. Late Bloomer is my 23rd book, and it's like June 5th when I'm filming this. This is the year where I'm gonna read the most books I've ever read because I am in such a good groove right now with reading, and there's just so many like books and stories and worlds that I want to escape to. They've been such a healthy outlet, I think, for me. Well, besides one category. I don't know how healthy this site is, but thank you so much for watching. Definitely let me know what is on your list, and check out my TikTok. I've recently been doing really well as a book talker, and I make short form videos of all of these book videos over there as well. So if you like to consume shorter form content like that, follow the TikTok. My mom and brothers should be here any minute now, and we are heading to my pool, so I will be grabbing my book, hence the outfit. Also, like, moment for this little mesh skirt. How cute is this? It like pulls and zips on the sides. Really cute cover up. So best time of the year. Happy summer, happy reading, happy Pride, and I'll see you in my next video really soon.